Hi everyone. When I was talking to Blue, I've had this mad ass idea of recording our conversations sometimes, and just sometimes just sitting there talking about a topic, and maybe we should turn it into a podcast or something. Am I right, Blue?
Yeah, we can always do that.
Right. So we had the idea. Well, I had the idea. Not gonna take. You're not allowed any credit. Of talking about talking about fursuits and how to commission them and stuff like that, and do's and don'ts of commissioning fursuits from a maker. So if you guys didn't know, Brightwater has a friggin' fursuit from More for Less that I'm jealous of.
Hey, I might have a Morpholess suit, but you're a fursuit maker, and that makes me even more jealous because I can't make my own things.
Oh, the tension grows. But yeah, as he said, yeah, I'm a fursuit maker, and Blue kind of is better with the commissioning process because he's commissioned several people for several stuff, including art and fursuit wise. So he's just better overall when it comes to commissioning stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so as a customer, how do you approach a maker when you want them to make a fursuit, Brightwater?
All right. So the first thing you want to do, you want to research. You want to research several different makers. You want to get different quotes from different makers so you can get a different price range. Because you want to see which one will best fit your price range. Like that's what I did. I went from Made for You, Mischief Makers, More for Less, all those different makers. And I got picked from More for Less, which I wasn't expecting to be picked, but I got picked. And was it in my price range? No. But I got picked, and I was like, what are my chances of getting picked again? So I decided to go with them. But you gotta make sure before you decide on any person to get a fursuit, you do your research, because there's a lot of scam people out there. There's a lot of people who don't give a crap about you. They just want the money. They won't make your fursuit, or they'll make your fursuit, but it's crap. I've had that a couple times already, and I've tried to get refunds. I've tried to get repairs, and they take forever to do them. So you gotta be careful and do your research, because if you don't do your research, then you're gonna be wasting thousands of dollars on stuff that you're never going to use. So make sure you do your research when commissioning. That's my biggest tip I can give you. Research before you make a purchase.
Yeah, and also it's important to research what makers do what, because if you don't like a maker's style, then what's the point of commissioning them? Because if you understand what I mean, because you have like this cute character, and you're going with, or you might end up going with a person who only does grumpy styles in a way, or just it won't look right with the character. So it's important to make sure that you have that kind of style that you want to go for, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you
Make
did.
sure they go with style.
Yeah, like what you did with Blue. Blue's kind of like a big fluff monster who's happy about every way, and that's why you kind of went for a More for Less, right?
Yeah, I wanted a hyper toony. I didn't want a realistic, because I want my character to be lovable and kids. Like I love to meet with kids and go to parties and just give them a good time. And I didn't want my suit being scary. So that's what my goal was to make my suit as toony as possible, make it look like a cartoon character, something you'd see at Walt Disney World. But
Yeah.
better.
And that's also why some people also have multiple fursuits as well, so they can bring off different kind of personalities of themselves. So,
Yep.
for example, I've got my main three, obviously, which is Daffy, Link, and Ace. Ace being like really serious business person who kind of brings out my more perfect kind of like self, more very professional, very kind of stick to it. And then there's Link, who's just genuinely me and just kind of like chill, and then there's Daffy, who just gets excited about everything.
Sounds like me in a heartbeat right there. Daffy is basically my twin. Just happy about everything.
You're not a flower though. You're just blue.
Hey, I'm blue, but I'm still very happy. I'm basically my twin.
Yes, it's beautiful. We love blue though. But yeah, again, as a commissioner, what you don't want to do is start off a conversation with hi. The amount of people that just PM me saying hi without any context whatsoever, and I'm just sat there awkwardly waiting for something else to come up. I'm like, hello? It's awful.
Yeah.
It.
Make sure you get context, because sometimes you get a person coming in wanting the fursuit, but all they say is hi, and you brush them off like, oh, they're not serious, so I'll just brush them off. And then they get mad at you saying, why didn't you respond to my text message? Well, you didn't give me context. I need context. You can say, like, a good message is sent to a commit, someone that you want to get a fursuit from. You're like, hey, how you doing? I was interested if you're open for a commit or open for quotes or commissions right now. That'd be the best way to do it.
Again, yeah, it's, yeah, you just make sure you send a ref sheet as well, mainly for the beginning. You're just like, hey, I want this, that, and this part, instead of, you know, because, like, people just assume that we automatically know the parts. Like, I have people saying, oh, can I have a partial? And I'm like, right, okay, when you mean partial, do you mean with, like, feet paws? Because sometimes, most of the time, it's not with feet paws. And I get confused because they're just like, oh, partial, and I'm just like, well, what parts? And they're just like, partial, and I'm just like, yeah, what parts? Exactly. I'm just like, can you make it more specific, please? Thank you, because I normally I don't have an overall price for each partial. I normally add it all together with each individual object.
Exactly.
Because with each individual object, believe it or not, requires more fur. So by working it out each individual item, I can roughly estimate how much fur is needed. If you get what I mean.
Yep.
But anyway, how was your how was your more for less experience?
If we're talking about grade A, fucking amazing quality, customer service, all of that, More for Less gets the golden star. More for Less is customer service. You send them an email, they respond to you in the next couple days. I would say at least 24 hours to 48 hours they'll respond to you. They'll give you an estimated quote, because they have a very detailed quote form that you fill out saying exactly what you want. You send your reference sheet. And if you can't send your reference sheet on there, they'll text you on Telegram, and then you can send your reference sheet there, and they'll give you an exact quote. And then when they're doing their process, if you're a new member of the More for Less family, they'll take a little bit to, because they have to pick certain people. They pick certain characters that would go along with their style. They'll get back to you like they did with me, and they told me in about a week that I was accepted. They'll give you constant updates. If you ever have any problems or questions with your fursuit, you can talk to the main owner themselves and ask questions or emails, and if you ever have a problem with your suit, you can send it right in and get it done. So that's the kind of quality and service that I want. Is if I have any questions at all, I can talk to the owner and know I'll get a response. Not instantly, but I'll get a response soon. And if I did have problems, they'd be willing to do it for free or with a minimum charge, depending on the amount of damages or repairs they need to do. That's the kind of service I want, not where I have my bodysuit that I commissioned from a certain maker. I spent $900 on Digigrade suit, just the bodysuit. I wanted a Digigrade suit. I didn't want a drop crotch. I got a drop crotch. It didn't say that they were going to do that. I got it. It already had holes in the armpits and in the leg area. I texted them saying, hey, I have some problems with the suit. I didn't want a drop crotch. I want a Digigrade. And they're like, okay, if you send it back, it'll take about 6 months to a year to have repairs. I'm like, I can't wait that long. You guys took a year to do it anyways. Why do I have to wait so long? And then they never responded to me after that point. So, and they were going to charge me an additional $600 to redo the repairs that they didn't fix themselves.
600
So they
quid.
didn't take the time to make the suit good, because they didn't double stitch it. They rushed it and just single stitched it, so everything was falling apart. So it wasn't really my fault that the suit was falling apart. It was them not taking the time to make it great. That's why I say do your research. I didn't do my research enough on these people, and I ended up with a garbage suit that was craft fur and slip shot made. So make sure you do that. Make sure you do your research, or you're going to end up spending $900 on a piece of carpet that you'll never wear in your lifetime.
Walking sofas. But as you were saying again, it's so important to do your research. The amount of people that don't do their research actually astonishes me.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, you're the first maker I saw, I'm gonna go with you. Okay. If it's a bigger maker, like, you know, then you can kind of get away with not doing so much research, because if they had issues, it would be everywhere.
Yep.
But if you were going with a smaller maker that's maybe not too known, then yeah, it might, finding the bewares or finding certain things that has come up might be harder to find, for example. And
exactly,
it's just, if you're gonna commission a small, this is very important, if you're gonna commission a smaller maker, such as myself, because I definitely wouldn't say I'm large, even though my commissions are definitely full at the moment and there's a lot of people wanting them, I wouldn't call myself large, because I'm not that well known. But the thing is, right, if you're gonna commission someone smaller, you need to do your research on them. You need to make sure they're uploading weekly progress of what they're working on, maybe weekly, monthly, more likely, what they're working on. Ask them questions. You should be asking, I mean, don't go to the point where you're pestering them, but you should be able to, like, ask them questions and test kind of their knowledge of fursuit making, and making sure they know what they're doing with your or somebody else's suit. And I think that's important to do with smaller makers, just because some people are at different levels, I guess, depending on how expensive and experienced you are. Yeah, because, like, you were my very first ever Fursuit Park commission, as you know, and
yes.
I didn't even have a website or I didn't even have a name for my fursuit company, because you were just my friend. I obviously was just making a part for you because you needed it for a con.
Mm-hmm.
And my tails literally...
And you did a phenomenal job.
My tails you can literally put through nuclear warfare and they would still come out okay.
Oh yeah, your tail has no problems. I haven't seen any seams ripped. Nothing on it is... The fur is amazing quality. I mean, nothing's wrong with that tail. If I didn't know right, that tail was something that would have been made by a big maker. And you never would have known it was made by you, because that's how good quality that tail was made.
And that's the thing, is people don't understand that smaller makers can be good as well.
Yes, they can be. And I was scared to commission Ace at first, because I've had several bad experiences with smaller makers. Not either I'm paying them and I get nothing out of it, I get no responses, or I get crap work. And Ace is the best small maker that I have ever met, ever been through. And I've trusted Ace to make me a secret suit that he came up with the character. I gave him a name, and I gave him colors and a species, and he came up with a character, and he gets to make that character come to life in the next coming year, which it will be really cool to see what Ace can come up with this. But that's how much I trust Ace to come up with my own character.
You literally just yeeted money and was just like, give me character.
Commission Ace. Ace's customer service is as good or even better than Morpholess's customer service. He will respond to you, he'll make sure you're detailed, and he'll actually get your suit done in a pretty fast amount of time and with good quality.
Pretty fast? Mate, I'm like speedy with my hands.
That's what I'm saying. You don't take 10 years to make a suit. You take you took 2.5, 3 months to make this one guy's full suit.
That's only because I still have college work to do. That's also another
and
thing.
And you do college, and I mean, you're 17 years old and you have your own business going. Who can say that in this world they have their own business at 17 and it's a good business, not a I make $10 every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No, you're making money constantly. You're making big money. You're not making baby money. You're making good money. And
not baby money.
And your customers are really happy with the quality that you're giving them. You're not just trying to throw out a bunch of crap suits with high charging money. No, you charge a good amount of money for a good quality suit.
And you know what? Even when I get big, I think I always want to be kind of the maker that's affordable. If you get what I mean.
Because my opinion on suit making these days, there's a friend of mine, or not really a friend of mine, but somebody that I know in the TikTok community. They charge people way too much to have any suit done. Way too much. And I understand, yes, it takes time. But you gotta understand, there's a high demand for fursuits in this fandom. A lot of people want them. But you can't charge them so much where it's impossible for them to get one. Because most people are going into debt for a fursuit. I went into debt. I wanted a fursuit so bad. Because they say you don't need a fursuit to be in the furry fandom. You know, yes, you don't need a fursuit. But to have fun in the furry fandom and to have a good time and to actually be noticed, you have to have a fursuit.
Most of the time, unless if you're funny personality and other stuff like that, then I would also agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, you got some people out there that don't have fursuits, and they're well known. But a majority, most of the time, you don't have a fursuit. You're at the cons, just not doing anything. You're walking around, wishing you had a fursuit. Nobody really talks to you, and I've noticed that with a lot of people. When I go to cons and I don't wear my fursuit, which usually I don't. I always wear my fursuit. But when I don't wear my fursuit, nobody talks to me. Nobody cares. Everyone just walks around looking for other people in fursuit.
Because you're not wearing a £2,000 friggin' walking sofa carpet. Because you're not wearing a walking sofa carpet that costs you half of your wage.
Exactly. That's the thing that I wish fursuit makers would do is, you know, you'd make more money if you sold your stuff for cheap. Let's say More for Less changed their price to $1,000 per fursuit. That would be they would make more money that way than selling one fursuit for $4,000 or $5,000. You'd make more money because you'd have more people wanting your fursuits.
But that's the thing why is More for Less already have enough people. I think there's a fine line between small makers charging a lot and big makers charging a lot. If you don't have the following, you will not get the amount of people coming to you, I guess. Yeah,
that's like Ace. That's like Ace charging you guys $6,000-$7,000 just for a fursuit because Ace thinks his quality is as good as the major quality of the bigger makers, and they're trying to compete. That's not how you're supposed to do it. If your quality is better than the big makers, cool, but don't need to charge more than them. You can charge less
because
than
you won't get that because you don't have a big following.
You don't, and people are going to stay away from you.
Because you're
they won't come to you.
I can do this. Just casually sitting there. Because if I was to charge £1,000 for okay, so let's just say, because you know my heads, I recently increased my price from 350 to 400, which is good enough considering my prices have not changed for an entire year. So I've done £50. That, and also the fact that the pound has dropped ridiculously. So and fur prices have just gone because of that. So what if I was to all of a sudden went from 350 to £900 for a head? Let alone, right, so for example, if I was to have done that, the fursuit head I would have made now would have been about 900 and I wouldn't have been comfortable charging that much. As much as I do feel like I obviously do my best in fursuits, I'm obviously still not perfect because I've only been doing commissions for a year and fursuit making for 3. And there's people that have done it for 10 years. and they're absolutely, like, amazing, and they can charge thousands, and they have the following to do so. If I was to have charged thousands and thousands, I don't think I would be able to get commissions in, because that's just not how, that's not how it works.
Nope. You gotta work your way up, and even if you do get a big following, you gotta look at the demand, how many commissions you're getting, and what's gonna benefit you and your customers at the same time. Not just yourself. You gotta look at your customers' eyes too. Be like, okay, if I charge them $4,000, are they gonna come back, or are they gonna tell their friends to come to me? Probably not, because I'm charging too much. But if I say $2,000 for a full suit, with, if you have any problems with it in the first year, you get a warranty and we'll fix them. Then maybe they'll tell their friends, hey, go to Ace Carter or go to this maker for this suit.
Yeah. Again, with the skill level, I feel like you can increase it depending on the skill level, but I think £6,000 plus for a fursuit is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I'm seeing fursuits out there that are $10,000, and it's like, what are they doing? I mean, like, I understand detailing. I mean, like, if you're going full on out, like, I've seen a dragon suit that was full on all plastic or metal scales. Okay, I can understand that being a lot. Or LED lights, like, out freaking crazy LED lights. Okay, but like a normal blue and white fox or blue and white wolf, that's a generic species and generic suit, charging $6,000-$7,000 for something like that, not acceptable. It's two colors. You shouldn't be charging that much for a suit like that. You really shouldn't. You should be charging at least $1,000. I mean, my suit alone, on total everywhere that I went, was $3,000.
What, your blue?
Was that a lot? Yes, that was a lot of money. It shouldn't have been that much. I should have made the strongest decision. When I went to Morpholess, they offered me a full body at $38. I should have taken that, but I didn't, because I didn't want to spend $38 on a suit at that time. But if I would have done that, I probably would have saved more money and less heartache if I would have just done the full suit through them instead of just the head. But I just wasn't willing to spend that much money at that time, which I still regret not going through that. But I would have never met, I mean, I would have met Ace, and I probably wouldn't have commissioned Ace, but me doing that, I commissioned Ace for the tail, which is probably, other than my head, is the best part of my suit. Very well made.
I'm definitely not competing against more for less quality.
Well, your tail is more for less quality. It was really good. I mean, I've had 4 or 5 tails, and yours is the best so far, and no one's beat your tail.
Yes, tails.
That's how good and what's good about your work is you're not just in it for the money. You're in it because you love it, and it's your passion, and that's what's different between you and other companies. Other companies are like, I'm just in it for the money. No, you're in it for the love and the creation of people's characters and bringing them to life, because when you bring your own characters to life, it gives you a sense of happiness and belonging in this world, and you just want to make people smile. You want to make a difference. You want to be known through the world. So you making suits makes people happy, and then makes them think of, Ace is the one who made my suit, and that's what's going to get you remembered in the world, as being a fursuit maker. So
you
that's
know me
why
a bit too much.
That's why you're one of the better makers out there. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying no maker out there doesn't take passion or love in what they do, but a lot of them are in it for the money. That's why they charge so much. But you don't charge that much, and you're in it because you love making suits. You love making people smile, and that's what is good about you. But you'll give people free stuff sometimes if they're your friends or if they're in dire need. Not saying you'll do that all the time, but you'll do that if you're feeling it. You'll do it.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. If I'm bored, I literally will just make someone a free pair of paws, especially at Christmas. Like the last 2 Christmases, I have made 2 people I thought were very special towards me a fursuit head, like, completely for free, and I made the tail as well. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's just like, I think, again, if you're a maker or any artist, just making something is just so much more dear to someone than just buying it at a shop.
Exactly.
So, like, you know, obviously I wouldn't make blue, but if I was to make, obviously I've got a fursuit that you've actually started paying me for at the moment, and I need to do more research on the species. As we were talking about that 2 days ago, wasn't I? I was looking at the different species and what kind of more style and nose direction we were looking at, wasn't it?
Yep, you're kind of getting an idea. That's why I like what you do is you want to make the suit as good as you can. You want to do your best. You don't want to just do, oh, I'll just do this. No, you take your time. You really research stuff. You're really OCD about making sure things are good. And that's
I'm awful.
No, that's good. You want to be OCD about your quality. You don't want to be, oh, that seam is not going the way I want it to go. I'll just make it work. No, you're like, okay, that is not working. I'm going to redo it and completely redo what I'm doing. Like if, let's say, you had a head come in and something on that head was wrong, you would completely take that out and redo the entire thing if you had to. That's how good of quality you do. If something's not working out your way, make it. Basically, if it's not exactly how you want it to be, you'll redo it.
I accidentally, I think I told you, but I got new clippers, and I gave this fursuit head a bald spot next to the muzzle, kind of.
Yeah.
And I literally sat there for 2 hours doing the ladder stitch and poking it in. I obviously told the commissioner straight away, and I'm like, hey, if you want me to refur that entire bit or refur it, then I understand. Obviously, the fur would take a bit longer to come in, but I won't do it at an extra charge as it's my error. Do you want, like, a partly refund or anything? And he said, no, it's fine. It doesn't look... To be honest, it's not that noticeable. And I just covered it up well, and he was perfectly fine with it. I gave him the option of, like, a full refund for it, because I was just like... If I do something wrong, I feel so bad about it, and I'm just like, oh, God.
Exactly.
And then there's just like friggin' companies that just like even if they make the mistakes, like with a bodysuit, for example, there's obviously a company, you'll know who I'm talking about, who completely messed up a bodysuit, and it looked so wrinkly and so kind of like didn't fit the person at all, and they didn't want to take it back. And it was mad because if you make a mistake, you're the one who should fix it. Like,
exactly.
There's no excuse to mess up a bodysuit and then either not give them a part or refund or something, or like mess up on something that you know you could do better on, or that gives me another idea. But like, if you mess up on something, you're the one who's gonna have the repercussions of someone coming at you really angry.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you can admit that you made a mistake and fix it. I would rather the person that I commission fix the mistake than give money back. I would rather them fix it because I know that the money that I gave them is more important. I understand. I'd rather them fix it. But if they don't want to fix it, I'll be like, hey, I am going to keep it and you're going to send me the money back. That's how I am. And I fought with these people that made my bodysuit, and did I get anything back? No. Did I get repairs done? No. I got completely blocked, and I can't even talk to them anymore because of the altercations we had, which is really ridiculous. Commissioners should not be like that. You should be able to communicate your maker at any time if you have any problems at all, because when you sign that contract, their TOS, you're basically signing your life with them for the rest of the life of that suit. And
well, you're making a legal agreement that you're going to get a good product, basically.
Exactly. And I didn't get a good product. I got rips and tears in it the first day I had it. And they didn't care. They're like, oh, I can fix it, but it'll take 1 year to 2 years. I'm like, I'm not going to wait 2 years for you to repair something that would take a week to repair.
Oh, that sounds me. Like, I'm sorry, I don't get this. But some makers do this. Some makers cut corners on fursuits, like, oh, it doesn't fit, or like they just can't be bothered with a fursuit just to stick the smallest things down that need to be stuck down, or like this needs to be hand sewn rather than machine sewn, and then machine sew it and it looks ugly. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And like,
And
yeah, exactly. If you
then
know,
my maker came and cried to me saying, "Oh, you have so many special markings on here. I had to hand sew every single one of them." But they didn't really. They hand sewed them, but they didn't double stitch them, so they all started falling apart. And I was like, "You did all that work, just to have to do it again."
I don't get it, because if you know you're good quality, and you're charging the amount that you know that you want for that quality, why wouldn't you try your best? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why
Exactly.
why would you would rather try your best, have someone happy and not come to you, and then be happy for however long the suit will last, years basically, and then, or would you rather them get it and then them get angry with you and come at you? I don't get that. Why would makers do that? Some people just do. It's awful.
Because makers are in it for the money. They don't care about the character. They don't care about the quality. They're just in it for the quick money. And if they mess up, they're like, "Oh well, I got the money, so that's all that matters."
No, with every suit you do, if you make a problem, you need to try and fix it. Like, it annoys me, because again, I recently messed up that shaving job, and I must have sat there crying for half an hour, because I'm like, shit, I've never messed up this much on a fursuit before. Like, I was like, I've never given a commission a bald patch before, or I've never messed up like that kind of mistake with a fursuit before, and I sat there and I'm just like, I mean, I've had one person, I've never had a beware on me. I think the worst I've ever done is in one of the Christmas presents for someone, I accidentally left a pin in.
Yeah.
That was one of the, but again, I stopped using them, and that was a few months, how many months ago? I don't know, 5. But I think I've had one tear seam, which was my very first commission, which was a year ago, where I was using the wrong stitch around the mouth. So the mouth lining, but that's easy to fix, because I told them, they contacted me, I told them how to fix it, and they fixed it themselves. So that, again, easy. I think I also messed up with somebody's paws. They were a bit too small, and I offered to give them total new ones. If they were to send the old ones back, I would just totally remake them free of charge and then send them back to them. They never contacted me, so I just assumed that they were okay with them.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I can only assume that, because obviously when you don't contact someone again, that's fine.
Exactly. Beware of Ace Carter's creations.
Aced creations.
Why I say beware Ace's creations? One reason.
What?
You will get a freaking amazing suit. Just be aware of that.
Well, I hope so. I try my best, and like, just the most recent 2 suits I've done, there is a major improvement.
Yes, I've seen your major improvement from when you first showed me Ace 1.0 all the way to Ace 3.0.
Oof, Ace 1.0. We don't talk about him.
and there's a suit we don't talk about, but
Hot dog.
1.0 of hot dog was interesting.
Made out of complete canvas mesh and a blanket and a towel. There's a reason why that suit is I gave it free to a friend as a meme. Let's just say that, and it lives under their bed, which is quite funny.
Well, that's where blankets and towels belong. Under the bed.
It's made out of plastic canvas. There's some people that can pull that off, but like, I wouldn't recommend doing it for like anything. That's such a bad idea. I was just going with the cheapest way possible. My parents are just like, "Oh yeah, make it out of a blanket. That's a great idea."
And you managed to make it out of a blanket. Not a lot of makers can say they made a fursuit out of a blanket.
A towel. Even second hot dog is made out of a partly towel, and it's got cardboard underneath the jaw. That's why I can't sell it or like, do anything with it. People are like,
So
yeah, I'll take her for like so much amount of money. I'm like, I can't sell her because she's got freaking cardboard in her.
Oh, The only person that hot dog's real home is Ace or me.
Oh god, I could actually give it to you. That would be so funny.
I would take hot dog because hot dog was my first. Like, I really liked hot dog. For some reason, I did.
Because she's a meme. Admit it.
What?
I said admit it, because she's a meme.
She is a meme.
I've already promised to friend her, to be honest, but again, it was free, so... I don't have enough room! I have so many fursuits just everywhere, blue.
I know you got so many fursuits.
It's this...
Well, if you make your way out to the United States, we're getting a huge house where you'll have your own room and own studio to yourself.
Oh wow, you trying to beckon me over there?
Well, we have a house that we're trying to buy. It has 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, and there's a big room that you can put all your fursuit stuff in.
Ew. I love the way you're just trying to get me out there. It's great.
Hey, it's better than the UK.
Yeah. But like, I was talking to my parents about them. My dad was just like, "Oh, how are you gonna afford paying half the mortgage?" And I'm just like, right. I'm like,
Oh, half the mortgage of the house?
yeah. Like, my dad was just like, "How are you meant to give input to that?"
So, basically with that...
I'm like, I'm pretty sure Blue, for like the first months, will pay for it. And then once I have a part-time job and all that, I'll cut in.
Basically what we require of you is we do twice a month we go grocery shopping, so just put a little bit in for groceries, the internet, and depending on the amount of mortgage or rent that's in the house, and then I just recommend just a little bit from you, which that would all be decided when you're actually here, which wouldn't be more than $200.
Really?
Yeah. It's
enough.
cheap. It's cheap.
What, over there?
Yes.
Fair enough. You're in the middle of nowhere pretty much, aren't you?
Well, the place that we're planning on moving to is like 20 minutes out of town.
What, and it's got like a... It better freaking have a Joann's Fabrics. I've never been into one of those.
It's gonna be out of town, but it's 20-minute drive back into town. But we got any store you can think of, we have.
Yeah, it's just I've never again USA.
Except for your special UK stores, we don't have special UK stores, and we don't call our delectable yummy things here.
Don't say
we
it.
call it candy.
Don't
not
say
sweet.
it, Blue. There was a fine line and you crossed it.
I
cringe at the
when you
word
come over
candy.
here,
No.
If you come up and tell me
No.
I want sweets, be like, that's candy.
Don't stop saying that word. I don't know why. That makes me cringe.
Candy.
Blue. No.
That's what you should name your next suit, is Candy.
Oh no. Yeah, I'll just call
if we
Daffy
want to talk
Candy.
about different words that the UK and me say, is instead of the garage, they could say garage.
Garage. It's a garage.
Instead of vacuum, they go Hoover.
Hoover.
Like,
That's the way you say it. Hoover.
Hoover.
But yeah.
Instead of attic, they like to say loft.
Blue.
Instead of chips, they like to call it crisps. And then my favorite one is French fries. They'll say either fries or they'll say chips.
I think we've kind of gone off course a bit.
Hey.
Hey.
What are weird words that we say that you don't say?
Candy.
You kind of sound like you're from Kansas there. Candy.
We want candy. We want candy. Yeah. But yes, I don't. Do we have anything else to talk about? Anything else to bring up?
Anything else to bring up?
Fursuit wise.
Brush your suit.
Brush your goddamn. I think most makers give a brush with their fursuit.
Mine didn't, but I have a good brush. You can get a really nice brush from Walmart.
Wait, More for Less didn't come with a brush?
No.
Really? Okay. Daffy didn't come with a brush either, I thought was quite weird.
I think to make Ace Ace Creations a little bit better, you should bring a brush or have a brush for each commissioner.
What, me?
If they buy a head.
I do.
You do that?
Yes.
Right.
I just didn't.
I get my fursuit from you.
You do. I normally give out blue brushes. I just like blue.
Blue.
They're normally like I kind of like they have like little paw prints on and then a metal back. They're like really nice quality.
I want one.
You didn't get one when you had your tail because like it was a tail. And you already owned a full body suit and like 16 other tails and loads of other fursuit parts because I was kind of like you probably already have a brush.
I feel like now.
I think it's important to give people brushes, to be honest. I don't know, especially for the first fursuiter. I had someone because like my fursuit brushes come free, so you know, it's just kind of like a £3 or £4 brush. You know, it's just the small things that people appreciate.
Exactly. Oh, and another thing that I'd recommend anybody who's commissioning a fursuit and you get your fursuit, always ask your maker how to wash your suit so you don't wash it wrongly, so you don't ruin your suit.
Or if the maker does it right, they should have a little book or have a little thing saying how to wash it and what not to do.
Yes.
I have a massive part, so I have like a little letter that I write, and like at the bottom there's like a tiny like paragraph of what kind of to do to wash. I'm like, yeah, dump it in a bathtub with fabric softener normally, do, and then I've got a massive thing at the bottom, do not use any kind of machine, includes dryers or washing machines, because obviously with my fursuit parts at the moment, I'm not too keen. I wouldn't put my fursuit parts in the washing machine. I would rather maybe a bodysuit, but even the fact that I've only made 3 bodysuits, I wouldn't be happy if someone put it in a machine, had it break because it was like too rough or stuff, and all the seams popped and then they come to me, you know.
That's a thing that I'd recommend for you, Ace, is to try to come up with a design or a stitch that will be able to put at least the bodysuit in a dryer.
Again, I try and use it. I need what I'm mainly not too confident is in my machine. It's not kind of higher end, I guess. It's like it's still a brother. It's still like a big branded one, but it's not one that's meant to go through fur. I mean, sure, it can last a year in a bodysuit. You know what I mean? It's still good quality and does well, but I question it sometimes. And I'm still working on what stuff needs to be done. And it's like, you know, it's important to know that, you know, what your fursuits are capable of doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a personal thing. I wouldn't go around flashing the fact that your fursuit can go through a washing machine and then have it to be broken. That's my kind of, like, anxiety, I guess, with that.
I've put my first bodysuit in the dryer.
Right,
for 5 minutes, and it was fine. But never ever put anything in the washing machine. Washing machine's too rough. But in a dryer, it could be okay, depending on what your maker tells you.
Yeah, always go with the maker. I don't think I would ever recommend putting your fursuit in it.
No. But once Ace moves out here, then we can talk about stuff like that. Because I'll be able to expand on Ace's business a little bit by doing the electronic side. So Ace will have more of an electronic side of his suit.
Love that. You just like input, just like, ooh, you can do this now. Look, protogen. Ooh, that could be interesting.
Protogens or LEDs.
Yeah.
Or electronic eyes and stuff like that.
Oof, no, that sounds just... Not yet.
Someday Ace will be up to that.
I still need to improve my shaving. I get so I always use a guard to shave.
Hey, and make sure you guys tune in to all of our podcasts, because that's when we will throw out little spoilers or little surprises that not a lot of people know.
Yeah, we're just like jumping in, we're just having fun.
Like when Ace moves out here, we're going to be starting a whole YouTube series of me teaching Ace how to cook and Ace teaching me how to make fursuits, and just get ready for all the tears.
I'm recording every single step of you trying to make your fursuit.
And I'm going to teach Ace how to cook all delicious meals, starting from easy to extremely hard. I don't know what I'm doing. So,
hey, I've actually sat down and taught someone how to make a fursuit before, and they actually are making them really well now. So that's really cool.
Yeah, get ready for a lot of tears and fight and joy and laughs and fights.
I've never fought with you before.
I'm not saying I'm just gonna be like, listen to me get mad because I'm gonna mess up something. You're gonna be like, freaking Brightwater.
Do you have the remote? Do you have like a remote sense of how to sew anything?
I have sewn before, yes.
Okay. Do you know how to do a blanket stitch?
Do not talk to me about any of that because I don't know.
Right. Okay. So you not really then basic stuff of just how to do a ladder stitch.
I usually, if I can use a sewing machine and not get my finger stuck, then I'm okay.
Yeah, in Robin's world, we don't really use sewing machines very much.
Ace will teach me everything I need to know about making fursuits, and I will teach Ace everything he needs to know about how to cook.
I'm more in a sense, when I make... So, like, the most recent fursuit I've done, I actually didn't really have enough fur, so I ended up sewing the entire paw, apart from the paw pads, by hand. But, like, because I have sewn so much by hand, my hand stitching is so... looks like a machine's done it. It's so even and so shockingly tight together and just good and not gonna break kind of stuff. I sew my tails by hand because I'm just more confident of just doing it by hand, especially when you do it by hand and then you get so good and you can just pick up something,
Yeah.
I don't, again, it's just and also then it's made by hand, rather than a machine, I guess. I just have that weird thing of just using machines on fursuits. Yeah. Even though I should, but that's something I need to do, is get a decent sewing machine. Because as nice as it is, it's not gonna... I don't think I'm gonna get another year out of it, let's just say that. Which is odd, because it's already 4 years old, so that's fine for like an 80 quid sewing machine from Hobbycraft.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine, it just is. I don't know, I need an upgrade. It's like my clippers, I didn't need... I don't need... Well, actually saying that, my clippers that I used for the last 2 years were Wish ones. For like 10 quid, because my friend got me them for Christmas, and obviously I didn't know any better. I was just like, oh yeah, these are perfect. And obviously because the battery is cheap, it's kind of like dying. They can only last like 15 minutes on charge, which is ridiculous. So, and also you shouldn't really use wireless clippers with fursuits, because the fur is just so dense, you kind of want the constant flow of electricity.
Yep. So
I would always recommend, so that's why I got the newer ones that I'm getting. So I've just gone from really, really cheap to some of the most expensive ones and most highly recommended ones, because I'm getting fed up with... I would rather go with something... I would rather buy it once than buy it 6 times, if you know what I mean. And I think that goes to the same with fursuits in a way, if you know what I mean. sometimes. You would,
Yeah.
if you keep going cheap and stuff. I guess if you, again, that's with the prices and all of that. There's some fursuit makers that charge loads and they're really not that good, and they get like, they have and all they do is pre-mades, and I'm gonna shout this Lava Fox. They do the same design all the time with the same kind of fursuits, and they sell them they've recently gone up to like $7 for like a head and like pair of paws, you know, and the paws aren't, I believe they're not lined. The heads are lined, but they're lined with fleece, and yeah, if you're gonna line with fleece, you kind of only want it in the head area, because then that's more comfortable, obviously, but like, I would never recommend it being fully lined with fleece, because that's just like a heat thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a tiny hole to breathe out of. I've worn a Lava Fox before, one of the older ones, and it's not really a pleasant experience, to be honest.
Yeah.
What do you think about Lava Fox?
Overpriced for... I mean, they were trying to go for the thing of cheap fursuits for everybody, but they're too expensive for bad quality.
Do you know the person isn't even a furry who makes them?
Hmm?
Did you know the person who makes them isn't even a furry? So, I don't know, I feel like if you're not a furry and you make fursuits, you should at least try your best.
Yeah.
Because I know they have improved in the last so many years of them doing it, but they really have barely improved. If you look at their fursuits, they haven't stepped out their comfort zone.
Nope.
Like, for example, how I made a clock fursuit with a working clock face on it. That was way out of my comfort zone. I had no idea what I was doing there, but you know what, I pulled it off.
Yeah.
It's important to step out of the hole. As a maker, before you take commissions, you should at least try and make some other species, because then if you have someone, because most makers don't do like horses, rabbits, you know, they can't do that anatomy right, they don't have a good example of it, but before you take commissions, if you then do that, you then have an example for that, if you get what I mean, to cover that kind of like species.
Yeah.
Thing. So for example, if I do a horse, that could show the anatomy of a Dutch angel dragon example, and a donkey, and you know, all sorts. And then the clock fursuit, I could show that I could, you know, do non-faced characters and know what stuff to do with them. And I've done a circle, I've done another rabbit as well. I've done all sorts. And I think that's important. Again, it's just trying to get that experience out there before you start doing your first commissions.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like it's so important to get as many species out as, like, try and cover as many species as you can. That just shows, because soon I'm going to be making a freaking My Little Pony fursuit.
Yeah.
As a commission, and that's just because I have done a pony. I've done a horse before, and that I've shown them that, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, that's really good. Could you do one like that?" I'm like, "Well, I could try, but I reckon I could, because I've also made this fursuit," and I sent them a picture of Levi, and his anatomy is like kind of like MLP, like the really short noses but big heads, if you get what I mean. And I've also done Max, which is also very much in the style of kind of like that more chibi style. So with that being said, there is no really fursuit maker that would be willing to do an MLP for that amount of money, and that's why they kind of have gone with me, because they're just like, oh my god, that's so cheap. Let alone it was still over 2,000 quid, but there's not many makers that are willing to step out of that comfort zone, out of that bubble of, oh, I can't, like, oh, I'm not willing to do this, because, you know, it's even from a different fandom, if you kind of get what I mean. It's just something that's not seen very much.
Yeah.
But then, if you think about it, if you make that suit, or do that, again, I've already told them, hey, I haven't made one again. Oh, it would be very experimental, and they understood that. I also said that no, but I also was thinking, like, if I then make that, if anybody, like, if he then goes to a con, for example, he's going to recommend me, because there's not many there's a massive market gap for that. There's not many people that make MLP suits.
No.
And it's very, I don't know a maker that makes MLP suits, for example. Well, I personally have never talked to a maker. And that's saying something, because I'm in a lot of groups with makers in. And obviously there's Lemon Brat that in their past they have. But I think it's just... Because then if I do that, that could open up an entire new market for me, if you kind of see that.
Yeah.
And it's just so important. It really is.
Exactly.
Yes. Have you got anything else to say? Because other than that, I think we're done. Not sure.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, that's the end of our first episode of the podcast. We hope you have a good day in this lovely quarantining. And have a wonderful time doing stuff that you love at home. Am I right, Blue? Is there anything else you want to say? You want to say bye-bye?
Bye, guys. We'll see you on the next podcast. Might be gayer next time.
Oh, well, it's always gay with you in it. But, like, I'll be linking Brightwater's channel and stuff down below, and my TikTok and all that, where you can contact us if you need to talk or anything, if you want to, like, you know, hang out and stuff like that. And obviously subscribe to Brightwater, because he makes some funny videos. Anyway, bye, guys.
Bye.